method of working.
Well, I'd like to pick you up particularly on that when you say that you work closely with the devolved administrations. Paul Wheelhouse, the Minister for Environment and Climate Change, attended a recent council meeting at which GMOs were being discussed. We all know your pro-GMO position, but you said you work closely with Scottish ministers to argue for the devolved administration to have freedom to develop their own policies. But you said there were discussions about speaking notes. On the GM issue, the speaking notes were amended to take into account the Scottish and Welsh view, but you didn't read that out. So what's the point of being able to amend speaking notes if you don't follow through with your promise?
Well, I talked to Paul beforehand. We agreed the speaking note, and I have to confess, I think I read the preceding one. But what is vital is that we have delivered or we are in the process of negotiating an arrangement which will be of real advantage to those in Scotland who do not like GM. If the cultivation proposal, which I agree with Paul, goes ahead, and the chances are at the moment there is very significant support in the Council, because I was lobbying with, for instance, the agriculture minister from Austria, who has the same views as you on GM. He is very keen on this Greek compromise cultivation proposal, which will effectively give the regional government here the opportunity to accept an opt-out from a GM tech company. Now, the fact that I didn't read out the exact tech line is unfortunate, but I did clarify with Paul afterwards that we had taken on board exactly what he had said, and we have also made it completely clear that this cultivation proposal will apply to regional governments. So that is a major step forward. So we've come to an arrangement where those countries that do want to exploit GM, such as Spain, so we've got this debate with 1507 maize, in which we have absolutely no interest whatever, that will probably go through, and Spain is already growing GM products very successfully. There are other countries, I mentioned Austria, we know France has real concerns about this. Under the arrangement, if they're offered the opt-out, they can accept it. They can only ban something if they're not offered the opt-out, and I think all sensible GM tech companies will deliver that. So I think this is actually a major step forward which can deliver what actually all constituent parts of the UK would like.
Angus MacDonald wants to come in on this point.
Yes, thanks, Convener. I'll be brief. In addition to the lack of access to the Council of Ministers, Mr Lochhead's often heard saying how he's frustrated that he can't join bilateral meetings and trilateral meetings. Why is it allowed for fishing and not for agriculture, and should Mr Lochhead not be allowed in as a matter of course?
Well, I think we're repeating ourselves again. I mean, I just don't recognise this. We have meetings, we agree the lines, we've amended them, but it's appropriate. There is one person who is the negotiator. And we would not have got these reforms through if I had not built up close relationships with other agricultural ministers on the Council. That's a brutal fact. Also, in some of these cases, languages come into it. Helps you speak French and German to some of them. And the sort of peak moments in the last night, that was actually a relevant fact. It's just a simple fact of negotiation. You need one person to focus on that at that point. And I am the UK minister, and I represent the UK. So when I go talk to Spain, the Spanish will look to me, the Germans will look to me, and the French will look to me.